What's good? What's good? It's your boy, His Will, and I'm back with another podcast for you. Now, today we're going to be discussing a movie that just came out. You know, it's Halloween, and so, you know, I wanted to just go ahead and see what we can do here. And it's, I guess it's a horror movie. It's like one of the little teen scream type joints. One of those type of things. And it's basically called Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. Now, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. Okay. If you have ever seen, you know, like Hills Have Eyes, or there's this one movie, I couldn't remember what it was called. It was, it took place in Louisiana, and, I think it was Hatchet. It's along the lines of that, you know, Hills Have Eyes type, Leatherface-ish type movie, but not on the scale of being scary or anything like that, because it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really that scary to me, because I'm used to that stuff. You know, you see movies like Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, all that type of good stuff. You see things like that. So basically, this movie it takes place, number one is English dubbed, I believe, and it takes place in a foreign land. I think it's another one of those, where does it take place at? I want to say, in Poland. It was in Poland, because they mentioned it in the movie. And for those of you who are viewing this in the video, I'll go ahead and put the whatchamajig. I'll let you guys see the preview for that. So we'll go ahead and jump into the preview. So let's go ahead and jump into the preview now.
Is anybody in there? Grab my hand. Wait there, I'll go get help.
What I want is for all of you to treat this camp as a kind of holiday. We will have fun. We're going to make some new friends.
I'm for also.
At the same time, we will analyze our problems. It's going to be a week full of adventures, so much fun and opportunities.
My name is Isa. I'll be the leader of your group then. Well, off we go now.
Did you know in Poland 15,000 people disappear every year, a third of them in the woods?
Guess we're contributing to the stats this year.
Bartek, Anila, you two will stay here in the event that Daniel returns. Don't go anywhere. Are we clear? Myself and Zoja will look around nearby.
But it's private property. We aren't allowed to go in. Nobody's home. I say we go back, okay?
Hello, sir. Will you help us?
Our friends are dead.
All right. So you guys just saw the preview. And so I hope that you guys, you know, will take a look at it. You know, Netflix has been coming out with some bomb movies, and it's really getting, it's, you know, their production is going ham on the production, I have to say. Just the movies and stuff that they've been putting out. But anywho, this movie, as you saw the previews, those of you who just listen on audio, if you go on over to the Peace and Mohair Grease podcast on YouTube, you'll see that, the video, or if you wanted to take a look at it, you know, for yourself. But anywho, I just wanted to just go over that. Now, it's those teen screens, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, all those type of stuff like that. Now, basically, so what happens is it takes place in a camp. Okay, that's the scene in the mountains somewhere. And the crazy thing is, it's for kids that have had issues, but mostly it's for kids that are addicted to being online and Instagram and all that type of stuff. So the camp is there. It's almost like a Christian type. Well, they had a priest there, and then you'll see what goes on later when that. But anyway, they had a priest in there, and it was kind of like those camps. I don't know if anybody has been like that before. I know some people that told me actually it was like one of those camps, religious camps, and they was burning CDs and all that type of stuff. Well, this particular camp, it just says basically what it is you just need to detox. That's the good word for it. You're detoxing from social media. So all these kids, some of them have dropped out of school. Some of them have actually been in there doing stuff like gamers that are making bread, or one dude, he was getting ready to go to Korea because he was the number 2 gaming in his I guess in his class or whatever. But his parents was like, nah, they cut that off. They went ahead and cut off the his internet and sent him to that camp because he dropped out of school because he was doing all that. So, I tell you, that is absolutely crazy. Now, I guess, everybody needs to detox from that, because these kids, I guess that's the more extreme thing. So basically what you have is, so it takes place in the camp, and then what happens is it's a lot of people there, which is a crazy thing, but there's a small group that decides to go off camping, and they're led by one of the hikers, one of the staff or whatever. So they going out into the woods, and the first thing they come up upon, you have the jock type cool kid. You got the cheap, what they call the cheap floozy chick that's in there. And then you got the nerd. And then you got the one that's kind of quiet. She had something happen to her, but they didn't really discuss it like that. But you see the stories unfold of what happened with that. And so now what happened was, there was a family. It was a single mother who had twin boys, and they were outside playing. Mother went in the house. Explosion or something happens in the sky. So you see these different missiles or whatever it was. You see a big cloud of smoke, a little bit of fire, and these missiles is blowing all over the place. And one of them hits in the woods near the home. So the kids, they venture out to see, hey, what's that? And they pick this item up, some type of rock or something. They bring it back to the house, put it under their bed, and, they go to sleep. They start hearing something. The little boy, one of the twin boys, wakes up, looks under the bed, and they have this rock, and there's some oozing mass, some ooze slime, some old Ninja Turtle type ooze that comes out, but it's black. And it just starts pouring out, and then all of a sudden I guess they was exposed, so it goes through the veins and all that type of stuff, and they turn into these Leatherface, Hatchet, Hills Have Eyes. You know what? You remember Hills Have Eyes and the scene that was crazy when he was raping that chick, how that dude looked? That's kind of like how they looked. They was big, strong, obviously, and they had these boils or something all over their body and their face and stuff. They couldn't really talk, and they just be destroying people, just this inhuman strength. And so the mom got up and they were still little boys at this time, and they would go under the house. It was just, they open up the little hatch, go downstairs to the basement, and so the mom was like, hey, what's going on? So she goes over there and looks down, and they down there eating something, animal or something, and the mom freaks out, closes the door on them, and stays down, and she locks them in the basement. So she was locking them through the basement the whole time, and she was feeding them animals and stuff, and they be just down there eating and stuff, so she kept them away from public. So one day, spoiler alert, one day they she bringing some food or something, and then she's trying to pull the thing down there to throw the food. They was also chained up down there by her as well. So she falls down the stairs and she dies or whatnot. They didn't really go into the detail, but you can kind of see she was basically dead. And so they get out and start roaming around in the woods. Now, you didn't know that they were twins until a scene pops up and he tells them, it's like, there's two, and that's where it goes into the origin story. But so they go out and wreak havoc. I mean it was cool. It was a cool little movie for the most part. And what happens, the kids in there messing around, and then they start, some of the ways they were killed gruesomely. Some people were killed gruesomely, but it was, I don't know if this is a real thing, but tastefully done. I don't know. That was basically what happened. And after that, it was just pretty much, it's always one type of survivor. They get caught into these stores. They get caught in like the cars and stuff, find a police officer. Something happens, the police officer, they on their way out, and something happens that they got to get out, and stuff like that happens. You like, come on, man. And so I'm just looking for something real quick. But what is that? Come on. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So basically that happens and stuff, and then I won't spoil the end or anything. So that's basically for that. So, that was cool or whatnot. So that's what happens. We'll move on to the next movie. The other movie that came out, cause there's a lot of stuff that was coming out on Netflix. Now this movie was called Hubie Halloween's.
It's Halloween Eve. Danger is afoot. I'm going to make sure every citizen in this town is protected.
What is that, monitor?
Looks like you made that sash from one of your mother's scarves.
There's something off in this town.
We got an unsolved mystery here. I say Marco, you say Polo. Marco! Weirdo!
Oh, Hubie, don't go out there.
Salem needs me.
Not sure what's happening in this creepy town. The police department is advising everyone to stay home and lock their doors.
What are we screaming at? You know what I think done it? A werewolf. Think you've been watching too many scary movies, Louise.
Starring Adam Sandler. And you know what Adam Sandler, he always has, with all his movies, Happy Gilmore and all those other different movies that he's had, what was it called? Click, I think, and Zohan, and the many other movies. He always has certain actors. Now in Happy Gilmore, you remember the one that was kind of cross-eyed and stuff like that. He was in the movie. So it's always good. He's like Tyler Perry when they be recycling people. So I always like to see that. But he's been consistent. Adam Sandler's been consistent as well doing this. But Hubby Halloween, basically Adam Sandler, he plays like around this time in Halloween, he's like the safety police. And so people make fun of him and, you know, they throw stuff at him and all this type of stuff, and they try to scare him, and, you know, all this stuff is going on. So throughout the movie, and I'm not going to spoil it for the end, but throughout the movie, there was, different things that's happening. Now, it was funny. I really enjoyed the movie because it was a funny, horror comedy type movie. So I did enjoy that because Adam Sandler's a fool anyway. So he plays, it was almost like he was kind of like a mix between Waterboy and, it just slipped my mind. A mix between Waterboy and, what's his name? Dang, I'm gonna get this, y'all. It's literally just in my head. A mix between Waterboy and, Sling Blade, because of the way Adam Sandler was playing the movie. So, it was funny. It was funny. And, and almost like, in the spoof for Scream, if you remember Dewey, I think it was Huey or whatever. He's kind of like the cop, and they don't really take him that seriously. But it was the same thing for this Adam Sandler movie, and it was like, you know, I'm just like, hey, it was just hilarious to me, man, and the way that. Give me just a second. You have to excuse me. Just trying to get something here that's crazy. Okay. Yeah. So basically, it's like them. So with Adam Sandler's character now, also, what's his name from King and Queens? He played a cop. He's like the cool cat. Let me see what his name, Kevin James. That was his name. And then Rob Schneider, you know, he always has him in there. Some other key people were George Wallace. He was in there. Directed by Steve Brill. Jackie, Sadie, and Sonny Sandler. So I'm wondering, I have to look into some more. I believe that Ray Liotta was in there as well. I have to look into that. So we have to check that out. And then, so that movie was hilarious. And so he was going around, like, people don't take him seriously. So he's known for, like, every year going to the police. And the police sheriff at that time was Kevin James. So, you know, he always saying something, such and such did this. They dropped a balloon off and it busted open and somebody gonna get hurt. You know, something like that. And so they didn't really take him serious like that. So they would do that. So what they do is give him a little bootleg job as some type of, it's basically a hall monitor for the streets. And he was like, yeah, so you get all the evidence, you write it down, and you meet me at this trash can over here. And, you know, they were just trying to do that to throw him off the scent. Oh, how can I forget? Kenan Thompson is in there. So, from Kenan and Kel. So, you know, he was one of the deputies. So, man, it's water. It's good. He was one of the deputies. So, you know, he was in there. He was acting a fool too. And so it basically ensued where, well, one of the cool things about it, I did enjoy how he had, you remember those thermoses with soup and stuff in there? Well, it had all these different get gadgets on it. So he would shoot him on the tree and pull himself up and do all this stuff. So basically, you going through the night, Halloween comes, and they went to this party, and it was like, hey, something ain't right. I don't feel right. And so there's this maze. There's this maze that was called, one of those, like in the pumpkin patch, one of those cornfield mazes. And so they were trying to scare him. So they was like, hey, such and such went in there. I don't know. I think something happened. So he heard him whimpering, or he went in there. So he's looking around, and then, something actually happens. One of the boys that was playing, he gets snatched. You looking at somebody, and they gone back through the bushes. So he's like, oh no, what's going on? And so he's running around. They have this. Yep. Huh? Log in for what? What, for you guys to log in? Oh, yeah. What about it?
Did you decide something?
No, I didn't do anything yet. Yeah, we'll just have to resend it. Anywho, so like I was saying, so they had a character. He's like another character. He's like a werewolf, so he's running around and popping up and eating random animals and stuff, and just everybody just messing with him. So it all comes down to the haunted house. He's going now. One thing, he's super scared of stuff. So when people jump out and scare him, he's like, ooh, ooh, he goes crazy. So he's doing that, and so that was going crazy. So it comes down to the haunted house, and so when they go to the haunted house, everybody's like, hey, what's happening? All these people keep disappearing, and then it ends up, and I'll let you guys catch the rest of that. Again, I'll show the preview for you all seeing the video. You can see the preview of the video up here, so you can see the preview of what it's about, and hopefully you guys go check it out. And then the last movie that I wanted to kind of check out discuss was Vampires versus the Bronx. Now, this movie was actually pretty good. What it reminded me of is Lost Boys. So if you guys are fans of Lost Boys, you'll like this. Now, this takes place in the Bronx, of course, and what happens, there's a family, or not necessarily a family, I say an order of vampires that come to town. They start buying up all these things, and again, I'll show the video, the preview, so y'all can see that for those of you watching the video. They come into and they start buying up, basically gentrifying the Bronx, and they buying up all this stuff because they're trying to have it so they can take over and call on these gods or whatever to become if you remember Blade, part 1, the fighting scene when he had all of the vampires around and the Blade's blood was the one that came down and kind of set it all off. So that each one of the vampires, the souls will come out, and it'll come into, which was played by, it was Frost, which was, and his name escapes me, and I usually remember his name, but you guys know who but he played Frost. Dang, I can't believe it slipped my mind, but he played Frost, and all the vampire stuff coming into him, so he becomes this stronger vampire. That's kind of like what they were trying to do in the Bronx in this movie. So you had these kids. Now, the funny thing is they're trying to save the neighborhood. So a lot of the properties have been bought up by this guy. So they send their ghouls. If you remember, if you ever seen Vampire in Brooklyn, Eddie Murphy had certain people that he would bite and turn into ghouls, so they'd go out and do his work for him and stuff like that. That was kind of like what a character in this movie was, where he would, they had one guy, he was like a agent, a real estate agent, so he be going around breaking bread, telling people to save their properties. Then they ended up killing them or whatever. And he was trying to do that so that he can get bitten and be one of them, but they was like, you never be one of us because you're not pure, whatever. Kind of like the same thing with Blade. And what they had there, they were I forget the name of what they were called in that movie. But anywho, it was like that. So he would go around, and so the kids, the funny thing is he would put out these flyers because they were going to have a benefit over at the bodega, which is where they used to, it's like the hangout spot. That's like the last property, and he don't want to sell, and you know, they kind of trying to do that, and the boys, they like to have fun and stuff in there, and they, you know, kick back. And so at night, while his mom's at work, he would be outside putting up flyers and stuff. And Method Man is also in this movie. He plays the priest. And so, so the boy, you know, they blase doing this. One of the friends is in with the wrong crowd, and so he gets wrapped up into some stuff, and they're trying to go and, you know, trying to do some gangster stuff and stuff like that, but he's also hanging out with his other two friends. And so, you know, earlier in the day, something happened where they was one of the gangsters, one of the boys spilled something on him, and so he was like, what are y'all doing? And he started trying to chase him, and then he got away. So he continues to chase him and stuff like that. So he runs. He got away, and then later on that night when he was out there putting badges and putting the stuff back up, the dudes was out there, you know, hanging on the block, and they was like, yo, come here, man. And so he chases him. So the boy's on his bike, and he gets away from him and goes like this parking garage, and he goes up, and the dude comes around like, where you at? So the vampire comes down, and he's like, you know, they be all hard. He got a bat in his hand. He's like, what are you doing here? Who are you? You ain't from around here. So the boy comes down, and he sees, right as the vampire starts, grabs him, bites dude as he's floating up in the air, and he's biting him, and then he lets him go, and, you know, he's dead. So when the boy comes around, it starts, hey, I saw this. Look what happened, y'all. Some vampires. So, you know, the town like, what are you talking about, man? Y'all is tripping. What are you talking about? So, again, he has to take matters into his own hands. And earlier that day, he ran into a little girl that he was kind of digging on, trying to holler at. But his mom was like, hey, you coming in? The babysitter be ready. Just loud. You know how parents embarrass kids like that. Side note, speaking of that, one time my cousin and I were in the mall, and he was popping at this chick at the counter, and he was hollering at her, and he was like, yeah, so what's up? What she trying to do? And we didn't know, but his mom was right behind us, popped him upside the head. We ain't about to do nothing. Man, it was so embarrassing. So we started walking. We walked off after she popped us upside the head to go pay for the stuff. We was walking down the aisles cracking up because it was so funny and embarrassing at the same time. So that's what happened in the scene. So anyway, that happens. Everything goes on. I'm just like, bruh, what's really going on? So, they, you know, the chick is doing that, so they laughing or whatever. So later that night, something happened to where, oh, that's right. So his mom went ahead and went to work like she normally do. And, after that, him and his boys decide to go out to the bodega at night to chill. But what happens, they was telling the bodega guy, which is like a father figure to the kids and stuff, known and the stuff, so his mom knows him and stuff. So he plays them, of course, the movie Blade. So they in there like, oh yeah. Doing that, they was out late, then they get in trouble, because they was some video or some song like, oh, so you told my boys these movies and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So basically they got to go to mass. So they go into the church, the mass, and Method Man's out there like, what are y'all doing? Okay, where's your friend? How come he ain't here? Which is the one with the gangster dude. So there's like, what? Okay, y'all go ahead and go in. So they're in there talking to each other. They're like, man, what are we going to do? And so while they're praying, they sneak out to the back where the priest room is, go in there, get the holy water, because they've been watching Blade. Holy water, they make steaks and stuff, so they use some 7-Up bottles. They dump all this 7-Up out, put in there the holy water, and fill them up, and then they zip out. So they got to go and see if they can find out, this building, what's going on. And I left some stuff out, but I don't want to tell everything. I'm just kind of paraphrasing so y'all can check it out. And so the girl that was there earlier, she's like, what y'all doing? I know this. She's like, I know this. I believe y'all. I've been training for this my whole life. So it turns out she was, sometimes knew about all this stuff. So then what happened was they went into this little house and they find him there. And they open up the caskets because they see him delivering caskets and stuff. Open up the caskets and they see him. They run out, and so they're like, what? They take pictures and stuff like that and video. And they run out and they tell the town. So the town's out here. So now the city, the little borough or whatever, come out like, hey, what's going on? And the police got him. So they're like, look. Oh, and prior to that, before they went to mass, they had did something. They were talking to the dude that was buying the properties, which was the front man. So they was trying to go get a donation and all that stuff, not knowing he was part of them. And so he went in there, did that, and then they stole something to get this like key that was needed to carry out the transition for the vampire. They had to use that key, whatever. So the police said, hey, you guys stole something. So the police yanked them up. The mothers came down there arguing like, what are y'all doing? In the police car. So the mothers take them home. That's when they got in trouble. That's when they went to mass. So here we are here. And so they go in there. So they take pictures. Once again, they come out. They show up here. Look, we know these are vampires. So they start showing the video. They look at it and it's empty. There's nobody. Now this happened, I believe, before because the girl came out. But anywho, they showed the town. They didn't believe them. But you remember, vampires have no reflection. So in the video, they didn't have no reflection. So people looking at empty, like, what are y'all talking about? Ain't nothing here. And so blah, blah, blah ensues. Stuff happens going through like that. And town comes out and, they trying to fight the vampires. They managed to kill a couple of them. Just like in Lost Boys when they snuck up in there, was hitting them with the stakes and stuff and throwing holy water and all this type of stuff. They somehow managed to do that and took care of them. And then the town come out, and I'll let y'all see the rest of that. I know I've held y'all too long, but I hope y'all enjoyed it. Don't worry, the podcast is going to get better as I get better and better. I'm just trying to find time to do different things and stuff, so I apologize for the long wait, but this will be, I'll be trying to be more consistent as my schedule and stuff gets better and changing and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave y'all with this. So make sure you guys like, comment down below, subscribe, all that type of good stuff. Let me know what you guys want to hear or talk about or discuss. Let's chop it up. Movies, music, whatever, entertainment. So like I always say, y'all, it's peace and more hair grease. You dig? Ooh-wee. And I'm out like a sprout. No doubt.